Hi there, and welcome to week 4 of EDIS5440, Applied Teaching with Technology at the University of Virginia Curry School of Education. Today we're going to talk a little bit about interactive whiteboards and give you a few tips for how to use them and what to expect in the project that's due next week. So interactive whiteboards have some components of hardware and software that we're going to discuss for a few minutes. In terms of hardware, interactive whiteboards are often known as by the companies that produce them. So Promethean is one large company that produces interactive whiteboards. Smart is another company that produces a number of them, but there are also other suppliers and distributors of these pieces of equipment. Typically what it is a board that you can write on, but instead of using markers or chalk, it has digital components that allow you to touch or use special pens to draw on virtual pages. So basically those allow you to edit things, draw on top of things, etc. The software package that works with that helps match the digital image to various video, picture, and presentation formats that allow you to structure your lesson so that students can, in a way, turn pages or flip through the content in an organized way. So just like you'd have a binder or a PowerPoint presentation, the software helps integrate what's on your computer with what's on the screen for students to see. Interactive whiteboards have been used for a number of purposes, both for students to interact with activities, to use hands-on, to approach the board, to make it do movements and sort things, and etc. They've also been used by teachers as a way to structure their lessons, but keep them a little bit more interactive, involve more movement, more pictures, and have a little bit of control with the structured content. So we're going to watch two short videos to tell us a little bit about some general tips and tricks. Both of these, as usual, are accessible if you click on this week's presentation if you'd like to watch them over. But these just provide some basic ideas for what you might want to include in your upcoming project.
Alright, so you can set it up. But now what? The truth is that the smartboard itself has very little to do with planning a good smartboard lesson. It's true. Oh, don't get mad. The real magic happens in the smart notebook software. Today we're going to take a look at 5 tips and tricks that'll make using that notebook software even easier for you and your students. And the first tip is, you don't even need the smartboard. Where are you going?
I quit.
Real professional. Well, as I said, all you really need is one of those. Let's take a look. Tip number 1 is that you can plan a great lesson using the notebook software that comes with the smartboard. So let's open that up. To show you the second tip, we first need to grab a picture out of the gallery. You can get to the gallery by clicking on the little picture frame on the left-hand side. That's really where the smartboard stores all of its clip art and different interactive activities. For right now, we just need a picture, so I'm just going to click on the word Pictures, and I'm going to grab a picture here of Abraham Lincoln, and drag him out onto the main stage. Alright, now that we have something to work with, I can show you the really cool tool called the Magic Pen. Magic Pen, it's a little pen with 3 stars around it, does 3 different things, which is pretty cool. The first thing is that anything you write on a picture or on a page will disappear. So it's kind of like having disappearing ink. You draw something out like an arrow, and you wait about 10 seconds or so, and it'll disappear. Now using that same tool, the Magic Pen, if I draw a circle around any part of the picture, it will actually spotlight that picture, like you see here. It'll dim the screen, and it'll just focus on the one piece that we drew a circle around. You can move it around using the blue outline of the circle, and you can also, if you pull on the inside of the circle, you can stretch it to make it a larger or a smaller spotlight. Click the red circle or square and it'll disappear. Alright, so using the same pen, the Magic Pen, make a square around any part in that same document, and you'll see that it actually will zoom in all the way onto that picture, giving you a much larger view. And clicking the red will again close that up. So the Magic Pen, 3 things. If you write on it, Invisible ink. If you do a circle, it'll do a spotlight, and a square will zoom in. Pretty cool stuff. Now, the next tip I want to talk to you about is the gallery. It took us a while to dig through all those different pictures to find this particular picture of Lincoln. I had to go to the gallery, had to go to pictures, and then I had to go find that picture and pull it out to the stage. Well, the gallery actually has a folder called My Content. If I drag the picture of Lincoln into the My Content folder, I'll have it every single time I load up the program, and I won't have to dig through different menus to grab it. It'll always be in Gallery, My Content. Saves a lot of time. Simply click Gallery, My Content, Pictures, and there he is. Make sure to save all your favorites inside of the My Content folder. Alright, so tip number 4. If you wanted to import a PDF or a Word document on a Macintosh, you can actually just take the document and drag it onto the main page of the Smart Notebook file. It'll take a moment or two to convert it, but as soon as it's done, it'll capture each individual page as an image that you can mark up and manipulate as you wish. Importing a document on a PC is slightly different. From that program, either PDF or Word, you go to the Print menu, and you select from the printer list Smart Notebook Print Capture, and you say OK, just the same way you would printing in a regular file. It takes a few moments to process those pages, and it actually takes images of each one and inserts them as a separate page in the Smart Notebook file. But again, you can manipulate all the material the same way you did on the Mac. And tip number 5 has to do with erasing. So here I have a marked up page, lots of different things over there. And if I want to erase it, I can click on the eraser button, and I can simply just, erase like I normally would. But it takes forever. If you draw a circle around all the stuff you've written with your eraser, and then you tap once in the center, it all goes away. The only thing that stays is the document itself and any lines that you've drawn or any text that you've typed. But all your handwritten notes will disappear, and you'll be ready for the next class. And it saves a ton of time. And those are 5 tips for using the smartboard.
So as we could see from that video, there are some basic ideas and things that you could do to extrapolate from that. Some of the main benefits of using interactive whiteboards are the ability to draw student attention to key ideas and facts, whether that's looking at a visual document to draw students' attention to a piece of it, or whether that's reviewing student work so that students can follow you as you work through steps in a process. Smart Notebook allows you to do those things. So we'll watch one other short video and then briefly talk about your project for next week.
I'm here with my old pal Smarty to show you some of the great new features and improvements of the Smartboard and Smart Notebook software. Let's start off with the Smartboard. Smarty, you can do some really cool stuff, man. Can I show you about the new feature you have, multi-gestures?
That would be swell.
Alright, great. So, why don't you clear out and I'll give him a show. Really, really easy and really simple to use is the new multi-gesture function of the Smartboard. It makes using the board so much easier. Before, I would have to pick up a pen, I would write on the board, and then I'd have to put the pen down in order to do something different. But now, it lets me do 3 things while still holding the pen in my hand. A lot faster and a lot easier for teaching. So let's start. I'm going to choose an ink color over here, and I'm going to write the word Smartboard. Now, while I'm still holding the pen, I can use the back of my hand, my palm, and just go like this. Erase. Really, really cool, really simple. Again, while still holding. Before, I have to put this down, grab the eraser, or use the eraser tool, and switch between. But now I'm still holding the pen. It makes teaching a lot quicker. The last thing I can do is that the Smartboard is so smart, in fact, that it knows the difference between the tip of the pen and my finger. I can use my finger to move stuff around on the board while still holding the pen. And I think that that is pretty darn smart. So, that's not the only improvement that's going on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes in the new notebook software. Let's take a look. Alright, so let's take a look at some of the new features in Notebook Software 10.6. It's different on the PC than it is on the Mac, so let's take a look at the PC side first, and we'll look at the Mac later. There are 2 new tools that are added to the toolbar. First is the transparent background, and next is the measurement tools. So we're going to take a look at how to use the transparent background, which is a really powerful and very cool feature. To do so, I'm first going to pull out some stuff from the gallery over here, just some pictures and animations or whatever, just to throw them onto the main stage. So I have my pictures of my oranges, I got my apples, and now I'm going to click on the transparent background tool, and you'll notice that it gives me my entire desktop. But the cool thing about this is I can actually move these tools around. Whatever I've put on the Smart Notebook, it's actually seeing through to my desktop. Now, you do get a full pop-up of tools, including the pen, next page, add a page, go back, erase, capture, which is really great. But the really cool thing is that you can actually interact with what you've put on your notebook software, such as a ruler, and move it around on your desktop. So over here I have a ruler from the tools, and I can just take it and measure things on the desktop or part of the Smart Notebook. I actually have a compass I've pulled out, and I can use that to measure anything I want, whether it be from the internet or whether I want to measure something on the desktop, or even a program like Photoshop. Very, very simple and very, very useful. So the really neat thing is that everything I'm doing now, when I go back to the Smart Notebook software, is going to be recorded onto the page. So I end my transparency mode in a moment, and you'll see that all the work that we've done adds up right into the notebook page. So that happens to be a really, really useful feature. And you can do a lot of other stuff with that as well, but let's go and take a look at some of the other features they've added to this. I'm going to start a new page over here, and let's take a look at some of the measurement tools. They're really neat. So I showed you the ruler a moment ago, but if I click on the ruler, there's some really cool things you can do. For instance, I could flip my measurements between inches and centimeters. I can also take the ruler over here and extend it. So I can make it larger or smaller, but I can also, from the arrow at the end, make the ruler larger or smaller in terms of measurement size, which is really, really useful. Something that's new to this version. And the other thing I can do is to actually take it and turn it on an angle. And when I do that, you'll notice that the angle over there on the top part of it, in the top left, gives me the actual angle of what it is. So that's a 19-degree angle, which is really cool. So the ruler is very, very useful. In addition, I could do protractors. Now the protractor that came with the software before, it's just a big improvement on that. For instance, I could, of course, change the angle. You'll notice it gives you the angle. I can create, by clicking this one button here, I can create a full 360-degree protractor, and I can actually take it and edit it and create any angle I want. So by clicking on that arrow, I can now make an angle. Notice that that's a 29-degree angle or whatever, and if I want to work with it, I click this little green arrow, and it pops out the angle on the side of the page. So there I go, now I have a copy. That's great if I'm doing a workbook or if I'm doing some sort of an assignment with the kids and I want to use that actual angle as part of an equation or an assignment page. So there you go, I have that angle, I can just drag it around. Very, very easy to use. Now, they've also included a bunch of new features that I've never seen before in the notebook, including a crazy protractor that perhaps will measure at right angles. And mathematically, I'm not 100% sure how to use this, but here you go, and it works very much the same way that the compass does. So very, very useful for the math tools. There is a whole suite of math tools we're not focusing on, but we'll talk about that later. So here's the compass, and you saw me use it a little while ago. Again, you can adjust the point on it. You could actually move the angle out, and it shows you what angle it is. And then as you rotate it around with the pen, it'll actually tell you what the angle what the area is of the circle that you've done. So over here it tells you how many degrees the circle is, over, of course, 360 on this particular one. But a very, very useful tool, and originally part of the gallery for Lesson Activity Toolkit, but now very, very simply part of the tool set that you get in your general mode. Very, very nice, very easy to use. Let's see. There's also a couple of neat things you can do over here with the shapes. They've added a few new shapes, which I think are really useful, including this circle one, and some of the rounded rectangles and some really cool stuff. You could also now do half circles, which I find really useful. So your drawing shapes certainly is a lot easier. We have a rounded rectangle, but perhaps my favorite of these is the circle. It lets you draw the circle from the center point, which is something that I always was guessing at, where the circle would go. So now you can draw it out from the center, and of course the center dot disappears. Very, very useful stuff. You could also get a whole bunch of different options, as well as the ones that were always there beforehand. Very useful. And the line tool has been increased as well. You have a curved line now where I can draw a straight line and choose the curvature of it very, very easily. I could do the same thing with an arrow as well. So it's really great if I had like the relationship between two things, like I had idea 1 and idea 2, or if I'm doing life cycles or the cycle of the frog or whatever it is, I can take it and draw a relationship very simply by taking the arrow and curving it around, showing from one idea to the other. So that's very simple to do. Again, click on the line tool, choose the one with the arrow, and draw it out. Really easy. Alright, so now let's take a look at the Mac version of this, which has a little bit different features. Some of the things are the same, such as the measurement tools, but they've increased the number of shapes. They have this new shape tool, which lets you choose shapes with different numbers of angles. So over here we have numbers of sides. We have triangles, hexagons, trapezoids, all sorts of great shapes that you can take and draw out very, very simply. It's not on the PC version, at least not where I was able to find it yet, but it's a really useful tool, and again, on the Mac only at the moment. So, that's the new Smart Notebook 10.6. There's a lot of great features, and I'm sure that there's more to come. So stay tuned, and I'll be happy to show you more as we go. Thank you for checking out this episode of Edutacher TV. Till next time, thanks.
So we're going to pause filming and start up. In video 2, we will discuss your actual smartboard project and expectations for that, as well as review some things to look forward to in the coming weeks.